But you recognize, especially in the early days, you're calling yourself out multiple times a day. You're finding any quiet moment where you're not busy, active. It will be like a tornado in your brain where it's just spinning thoughts and anxiety and fear and all these things are going on, and you really don't know how to stop it. And so all of those books I read, all of those speeches I heard, all of those things I've engaged with over the years from a position of security now have completely new meaning. So much to the point that I don't really have to go and read anything new right now. I'm replaying and reprocessing everything that I knew in the past because now that it's required of me, it has a whole new meaning. A whole new meaning. Here's the thing. Did I really believe it? Do I really believe it? Or is it just something, is it words in a book that sound good? They make me sound smarter and informed? But do I really believe it? I have to choose to believe it. I have to choose that those words on that page, while they don't match my current circumstances, have meaning and have value, and at some point in the future will manifest in a way that I can reflect back and say they were true. And when you're required to follow it, when you're not following it from a position of just safety and security, completely different ballgame.
100%.
So every day on this journey over the last few months has been some form of that, some form of reflection, some form of, calling myself out, some form of replaying past conversations, past books, past knowledge and wisdom that I've gained and said, did you really believe that? Are you now willing to put those concepts to the true test? No parachute, right? It's just you walking a tightrope.
Every day.
Every single day. And when you wake up in the morning, you've got to choose, I know what I'm going to encounter. I choose to go through that crucible. I choose to do it with no guarantee that it will get an ounce better. The only thing you know 100% is that you will have challenges. That's the only thing you know 100%. 100%. You don't know anything else 100%. So talk about resilience. Talk about what it means in the context of doing something when you are required to be the person who generates, who creates, who builds, who sells, who clean, who does it all, man. When it's just you and there's no safety net, and every day you got to choose, am I going to do this again?
Yes. And for the entrepreneur, until you close your eyes, every day.
Absolutely.
All of that.
There's no retirement plan. There's no vacation. The reality is you own it. You're attached to it. It's a part of you, like another arm or leg.
So to that point where you talked about no retirement plans, granted, there are people who go into business and they're, from the very beginning, they have an exit plan.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. People who have retired really young, made quite a bit of money.
Yep.
And then life still continues.
Yep. And what do they have in common? I've met a number of them. So I know one thing they have in common.
Say it.
They jump back in.
Why? Why do you think that is?
Because there's something to the process and what it does to you from just your inner core. It calls on you and challenges you in a way. It puts you through things, experiences, and puts you in front of people that a permanent vacation just won't do. And you start to atrophy. Right? You built up in many cases in a rapid way, you've built up this kind of, strength and all these fantastic traits and habits. And then somebody writes you a check for $100 million. You're like, I'm done. I'm good. And then 2 months in, you're like,
yeah, ready to go back in.
6 months in, you're like, I'll put the whole $100 million up, put myself back in the hole on an idea or a thought.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Because you miss what it means to be in the process of growth. And even the security of being able to say, I'm financially okay.
Yeah.
Time and time again, you see people say, I will risk it all again to get back into the crucible.
So there's something to that crucible, right?
There's something to the crucible. A crucible refines, a crucible brings the impurities to the top. It allows you in a very authentic way to go through experiences that purify who I am. And for those that may have gone through it, been successful, I won't call names of people, but there's some people, famous businessmen who have gone through things, who have been wildly successful, and they become the titans of industry.
Yeah.
Right? But we have to pay attention. The crucible isn't always my success. The crucible is life. Everything goes in there. And it will refine, it will refine, it will refine, it will refine until you come out what you're supposed to be.
Let's go back to the word passion, though. for the person who's going in, I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
I don't hear passion.
Bro, passion is passion and lust are synonyms. Both are temporary. With the right engagement, both can be satisfied. And then once we're beyond passion, and reality hits, you're back to
the crucible.
You're back to the crucible.
So what I'm hearing you say is what people don't know that they're signed up for is the crucible.
Correct.
Passion got you into the game.
Absolutely.
If you have enough, what's that word? Resilience. You get to the crucible and it changes. Like your mentality changes about challenges now. Like,
So when you think passion, right? Because passion is so one-sided, it only pulls on the heartstrings of what I want to do. It's not balanced out with what I have to do. And what entrepreneurship does is it pulls on both. It pulls on what I like to do, but it will pull harder on what I have to do. Because the have to is what takes the discipline. It's what takes the grit. It's what you have to every day refine. And if you're lucky, you get to balance that with a little bit of what I love to do. Gerren, you own a clean. Did you love cleaning?
No.
So why cleaning?
Again, and I'm glad that you've been around for quite a bit of these years, man, because people would ask me like, but why would you get into cleaning? I have done so much as a result of the genesis of cleaning. I've done so much, and I've told people in the beginning, it was never about cleaning. It was about people and me wanting to go on this experiment. I didn't think I was going to stay on it this long, but it has gifted to me in so many ways that it still isn't about the cleaning. You've asked me, and people have reached out to me, hey, are you willing to sell? And you would challenge me and ask me, hey, Gerren, if you sold, what lab would you climb into? Right? Because again, if I sold and I had money in my pockets, I'd be bored. Right? Like, I'm going to find something else to experiment with. I mean, that's just the makeup of our... Okay, so I got a question for you. You saw that I worked in corporate America for about 3 years, and then I jumped into entrepreneurship. You have worked in corporate America for 20 years. I had a desire to jump into this.
Yeah.
You chose, right?
I chose.
Based on circumstances. So we're climbing into it from two different perspectives. I may want to stay in the murky water because that's just naturally my makeup.
Yeah. That is not my makeup. Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this?
I do. Yeah. I mean, jumping in at this point for me was in part a recognition that I have been fortunate to build a network that I built over my corporate years that keeps me connected in my entrepreneurial years.
Keep going.
You know, one of the experiences I had early days that got me to acknowledge to myself on one of the days when I was hearing a lot of voices was this concept of how quickly the phone rang. Mm-hmm. So I'll never forget, I would let a few folks know, hey, I'm no longer with this company. I moved on, and within 5 minutes, I got a response. Within a day, I had my first phone call. And within 3 days, I had my first client. I had my first client before I even knew how to draft a contract.
Yep.
Before I had a website. I was still using my Gmail to interact with my first client before I got my professional stuff set up, because my network that I was plugged into, mm-hmm. who knew my value, mm-hmm. had a need and felt like I could help them, yep. in a way that I have been helping in my corporate life for the past 20 years, yep. But now it found a place, mm-hmm. where I was the product. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So to the person who did it the way you did it, Gerren, which is the shorter time you had in corporate, the longer time you've had in entrepreneurial pursuits. Yep. I imagine building your network was a slow and steady thing. It's still slow and steady for me as people get to know me in a new way. Yeah. But my phone is full of people to call. Yeah. My phone is full of people who know me and see me in a way that makes what I'm trying to do, that makes sense. James, I always thought if you ever decided to go on your own, you could do a good job. And yes, those are just words from people. Sure. And they might be there just to pacify because they don't know what to say at perhaps could be a difficult time for you. But I take it in and I say, you know what, at the end of the day, whether they realize what they're saying is true or not, what I've seen in my own experience is that those 20 years have set me up for this time. Mm-hmm. And whether this time lasts 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I don't know. What I do know is that what I'm learning in this moment, in the months I've been at this, I could never have learned while I was where I was. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm embracing it for what it is. Yeah. I embrace the challenge. I embrace the crucible. I embrace everything it's pushing me into and forcing me to reconsider. Even in my own life, financially and otherwise, it has caused me to see things much more clearly than I've ever seen them before. Yeah. Yeah. And so if that was the reason I'm here, it was worth it. But I have to first and foremost remember that this isn't about me being so passionate or believing in myself that I jumped out. No. Right, this was a carefully considered, prayed about, thought about, you name it, talked about it with my wife, talked about it with family, right? Obviously kept it a little quiet because of the broader circumstances, but I jumped into this with the belief that my 20 years of experience, of all the people I got to know, mm-hmm. would manifest in a way that would allow me to have some type of start, some type of wind and momentum at my back. Yeah. So I sit here today, multiple clients, Yep. looking at expansion, looking to get into different service lines, right? And I'm a one-man band. As we sit here today, I'm a one-man band. Yeah. And to say that all of these things are happening in such a short amount of time, I can't imagine being in this place if I didn't have the 20 years in.
No experience. Yeah, well. Here's what comes to me. So you mentioned it. So it wasn't that you jumped into it with any kind of passion and all of that, right? The people that you're serving right now, your clients, your initial clients, they are leaning in on you to help them based on what you did over the past 20 years.
Absolutely.
Whether you were passionate about it or not, mm-hmm. but you did it well. Go back to the question that you asked about people who just want to get into entrepreneurship. You can get in however you want to. Just know that it's going to be an experience.
Absolutely.
Okay. And when I jumped into mine, I didn't get into it because I loved cleaning, because I loved the cleaning industry. It was about people, right? In this case, it was blue collar people that I was very curious about. And I wanted to learn them and understand how the dynamics of the industry and how they interacted with others and how others looked at them. And it was a game for me, right? And it also became a living for me. And it also opened me up to writing a book and speaking and entering all kinds of rooms. Some people would ask me, hey, Gerren, that other company that's in Orlando, is that your competitor? I'm like, if they're not about people, then like,
we're not selling the same thing.
Yeah. You know, if they're about people, then we're in it together too, right? So I'm not looking at people out there, other companies out there as my competitors at all. I'm playing a different game. I'm having fun in the crucible. So as you have found yourself in this state for the reason that you're in it, it doesn't have to matter to the world. However you got in here and whatever the experience is going to be and the experiment is going to be, that's for you. And if after 5 years you decided, you know what, Gerren, I'm going to tap out and go back into corporate, you would have learned so much about that other side, that other world, that you would have a different perspective, a different respect for people who are out there grinding.
Absolutely.
That's all. That's my joy.
Absolutely.
With you being in this space.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate the opportunity to have added a layer to our friendship.
Yeah.
Through what is now a mutual experience. And you know, we've always kind of called or texted each other over the years. Those texts and calls now have a very different tone and focus to them. Far more encouragement, far more just, you know, sharing the ups, the downs, the good, the bads, the wins, the losses, and reminding each other that there's still more to come, right? There's still more to be written. The reassuring thing is that the tools I'm developing now, the things that are being manifest in me, are things that are applicable to every situation of life.
100%.
I can't attribute it to a company. I can't attribute it to a project. I can't attribute it to, you know, to something that is disconnected from me as an individual. Because I am now the thing that creates value. And I'm still connected to being a husband, being a father, being a son, being a brother. As I become impacted and changed, it changes and transforms all those other things around me. So if there is a benefit, as we kind of close out, as there is a benefit to entrepreneurship, for those of you that are wondering, after listening to this conversation, if jumping in or staying out is for you, we can promise you this one thing. Can't promise you money, right? Can't promise you fame. We can absolutely promise you a transformation in your life, or let me say it even differently, an opportunity to be transformed by life that only comes through an experience where you become the focal point of the journey. Thank you for your time today. Gerren, thank you very much for coming over and spending some time with us. Please be on the lookout for more videos like this to come. My commitment is to share my story, share my experiences with you in a way that hopefully you will connect with. Hopefully it will edify you. And if by chance you're looking as to where to find me, EnglishSolutionsGroup.com is my company web address. You will be able to find a bit more about me and what we do here at ESG. You will also be able to find our company's social media pages. Thank you. Have a blessed day.